This video's about to get gay. Sorry, YouTube guidelines, you can't stop me. Hello and welcome to Forever Confused Emo. I haven't made a video in a while, so I'm all excited and doing things with life. Woo! Okay, so today I'm gonna tell you some information, updates. I technically should be wearing these because I'm looking at my phone, but I got glasses like those things, woohoo! And I need them when I'm looking at my phone or reading, so technically that's gonna be included. Also, got the braces off, woo! And my hair's a little bit all over the place, but that doesn't matter. We're going to talk about some LGBTQ historical figures, celebrities, artists, geniuses, random people in life that you should know that you can relate to with LGBTQ plus history. So let's get into it. First person to start with, Leonardo da Vinci. Let me step back a little. According to history, he never mentioned anything about love in his letters and described procreative sex, the sex that makes children, the act of procreation, and anything that has any relation to it is so disgusting that human beings would soon die out if there were no pretty faces and sensuous dispositions. So many people would say this, he's just a prude. He could have been asexual and possibly gender fluid, since most of his works were associated with androgyny, plus he had long hair and a beard, and he seemed to associate himself with that sort of thing, and he was accused of sodomy, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically the act of anal or oral sex with another animal, also known as bestiality, or non-procreative sex, so basically gay sex, with a male prostitute in 1476. So this dude was getting down and dirty all the way back then. So one person in the LGBTQ plus community, asexual, gender fluid, or a gay, woohoo! Next on the list, Alan Turing. The movie The Imitation Game, starring Benedict Cumberbatch, is all about his life. Alan Turing was the creator of basically the computer, and he solved Enigma, which was a Nazi code during World War II, and stopped World War II from being 2 years longer. So he was accused of indecency with a younger man at the age of 39 in 1952. He pleaded guilty of being a homosexual, so he admitted it, went under treatment with estrogen, and had gynecomastia, which is the development of breast tissue on men, and then killed himself at the age of 41. He pleaded guilty, and instead of being thrown in jail, he said, "Oh, I'll be cured," but that's not how it works. So Alan Turing, watch The Imitation Game. It is heartbreakingly beautiful. Next, we're going to move on to another Renaissance man, Michelangelo, the creator of the big statue David. Indeed, Condivi claimed that Michelangelo was chaste. Nonetheless, the physical beauty of many of his monumental male nudes, such as the David, the creation of Adam with God's hand touching Adam in that big brain thing, and the decorative male nudes Ignudi on the Sistine ceiling, gives a clear indication as to where Michelangelo's erotic interests lay, so most people were convinced. In addition, in 1532, Michelangelo met and fell in love with a young Roman nobleman, Tommaso de Cavalieri, described by the humanist Benedetto Varchi as possessing not only incomparable physical beauty, but so much elegance and manners, such excellent intelligence, and such graceful behavior. Tommaso married in 1538 and had 2 sons, but Michelangelo remained devoted for the rest of his life, dedicating numerous poems and several presentation drawings to him, for example, The Rape of Ganymede in 1532. However, when Michelangelo's nephew and namesake eventually published over 100 poems in 1623, any suggestion of homosexuality was effaced by altering the gender of the poem's subjects and addressees. So basically, he was completely shunned, and his nephew took away all the homosexual stuff and was like, no, he was totally straight. And it's like, wow, the agenda of the straights. Next, you know him, Oscar Wilde, a bisexual poet from Ireland and was convicted of sodomy as well as totally being out as bisexual, and created the Oscar Wilde Club, I forget what it was called, and many men went there and did their thing. So, yeah, next we're gonna move on to celebrities. First up, Alec Guinness, actor of Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original Star Wars movies, was a closeted bisexual and convicted of a homosexual act in 1946. Many people believed, including Ian McKellen, who was a very close friend, believed that he loathed himself for being bisexual. He was married to a woman. Only close family members knew that he was bisexual, and no one said anything until after his death. He hated himself so much for being who he was, so he was completely closeted. And it's very shocking to find out about that, because you're like, my entire childhood was surrounded by the gays. Why didn't I notice? Why do you do this, America and the world? Next, Marlon Brando. He had many relationships with women and was rumored to have 16 or 17 children, and at his death, 30 grandchildren. Said about his childhood friend Wally Cox, "If Wally had been a woman, I would have married him and we would have lived happily ever after." Two of Cox's wives, however, dismissed the suggestion that the love was more than platonic, but when he died, his ashes were buried with Wally, his childhood friend. So, basically, yeah, he was a little bit of a bi, possibly. And, yeah, the only man he truly really loved for the rest of his life was a man, so heteronormativity sucks. Next, we have James Dean, a famous bachelor, probably bisexual. He had many relationships with women, many relationships that he had with women could have been publicity stunts to make him seem cool in the public eye. The screenwriter William Bast is one of Dean's closest friends, a fact acknowledged by Dean's family. According to Bast, who was also Dean's first biographer, 1956, he was Dean's roommate at UCLA and later in New York, and knew Dean throughout the last 5 years of his life. 50 years after Dean's death, he stated that their friendship had included some sexual intimacy. So, not gonna say anything, but dude, like, come on. Like, the world is horrible and destroys closeted celebrities. Next, one of the most famous first ladies of her time, Eleanor Roosevelt. Despite becoming pregnant and giving birth 6 times, Eleanor disliked having sex with her husband. She once told her daughter Anna that it was an ordeal to be born, so she hated having sex with her husband. Now, when her husband, she found out that he was sort of having an affair with one of his secretaries, she stayed married to him despite it because she didn't want his career to be ruined with a scandal. So, honestly, they were probably friends, but there wasn't any sexual intimacy there. In the 1930s, Eleanor had a very close relationship with legendary aviator Amelia Earhart. And let me tell you now, Amelia Earhart was totally not straight. The hair, the clothes, her just completely taking over the world of flying. Like, come on. One time, the two sneaked out from the White House and went to a party dressed up for the occasion. After flying with Earhart, Roosevelt obtained a student permit but did not further pursue her plans to learn to fly. Her husband didn't like it. Roosevelt also had a close relationship with Associated Press reporter Lorna Hickok, who covered her during the last months of the presidential campaign and fell madly in love with her. During this period, Roosevelt wrote daily 10 to 15-page letters to Hick, who was planning to write a biography of the First Lady. The letters include such endearments as, "I want to put my arms around you and kiss you at the corner of your mouth, and I can't kiss you, so I kiss your picture good night and good morning." And she had multiple friendships with lesbian couples, so honestly, kind of telling ya. And most of the time she knew men, they were mainly just her friends. And last, let's put in one of the best poems of time, Langston Hughes. Some academics and biographers believe that Hughes was homosexual and include homosexual codes in many of his poems, as did Walt Whitman, whom Hughes cited as an influence on his poetry. Hughes' story, Blessed Assurance, deals with a father's anger over his son's effeminacy and queerness. The biographer Aldrich argues that, in order to retain the respect and support of Black churches and organizations and avoid exacerbating his precarious financial situation, Hughes remained closeted. But in his biography, Rampersad denies Hughes' homosexuality and concludes that Hughes was probably asexual and passive in his sexual relationships. Hughes did, however, show respect and love for his fellow Black man and woman. Other scholars argue for his homosexuality. His love of Black men is evidenced in a number of reported unpublished poems to an alleged Black male lover. This video is devoted to those people who are closeted and need that voice. There are more than just this. There are hundreds of historical figures that were completely queer, and you can totally look them up, find the evidence, and talk about it in your classrooms, because if you don't feel represented, there are people like you who were like you and went through the same struggles that you are right now like they did. You are not alone in any situation. And to have these historical figures and be like, oh, they were like me, or I understand what they were going through, is the most important thing any queer person can have. And I'm so delighted to find these historical figures that I can relate to or talk about and feel important. And if freaking YouTube restricts my video, hey! That's all I have to say. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment what you thought. I came back with a video and now I'm gonna act like I thought. I'm sorry, I shouldn't exist. And if you want me to perform a rap verse that I've technically been writing in my head about a guy I have a crush on, then please contact me. Put that in the comments. Say whatever you want. Just don't be a dick. 2K17, no more hetero. Everything is gay, bitches! Get ready for the alliance! Boom! Sorry, was that too much for you? I'm sorry. The streets are scared of me.